Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to find notes on the guitar. Now, you can play guitar without knowing the notes that you're playing. You can sort of see the neck in shapes and patterns, but knowing the notes actually unlocks a lot of things. Like when you're doing a solo, it'll ensure you're playing the right notes. When you are reading chord diagrams, it'll help you understand why a chord is named a certain thing and how to build a chord that you've never seen before. It actually helps to start by looking at a piano keyboard. So when you look at the keys, obviously we've got white keys and black keys. And each of the white keys is named after a letter of the alphabet. And the black keys, we're going to call them the in-between notes. They get funny names. They even have more than one name. So I know that might look confusing, but just think of it as the white and black keys. And we're going to walk up the keyboard today. And since we're guitar players and our instrument kind of starts on an E, we're going to start on the E on the keyboard. So if you look at that E note and we walk up one key, we've landed on the F. And the distance you've covered is called a half step. So piano keys that are next to each other are a half step away. That's the first major concept you have to grasp. Now, if we want to go a half step above the F, where do we go? Well, we go to that black key, and we're going to call that F sharp. We're just going to choose that out of the two options for what to name it. From the F sharp key, we're going to move up another half step, and we're going to land on a G. So now you can probably see how the half steps work, and we could, move methodically up the keyboard. To translate that onto guitar, we need to understand that a half step equals one fret. So let's start back on that E on the keyboard. We're going to choose our low E as the starting point on guitar. And if we want to move a half step up to the F, that means one fret. So I'm going to take my pointer finger and I'm going to put it on the first fret of the low E. And now I'm holding an F. Let's work up to the F sharp. So from the F key or from the first fret, we move up a half step. How far is a half step on guitar? It's one fret. So move one fret up. Second fret is an F sharp. And this is kind of how it works on guitar. That's how easy it is to find notes. Let's go up from the F sharp and let's move to a G. So just move one fret up. Half step up to G. Let's review the notes on the low E string. Starting on the E, half step up to F. And you can see on the keyboard, those two white keys are right next to each other. There's no black key in between them. Let's move from F to F sharp, one fret. So that in-between note, that F sharp, is on the second fret. And then let's move one half step up to G. Memorize those notes to get yourself off to a great start. Let's do the same thing on the A string. So we're going to move to the open A. Go ahead and refer to your keyboard. And we're going to move a half step up, so one fret up. And we're going to call that a B flat. You can see that on the keyboard. It's a black key. One half step up is going to be B. And then another half step up is going to be C. There's no sharps or flats because those two keys, those two white keys, do not have a black key in between. Let's review. A, B flat, B, C. Let's keep going and finish with the rest of the strings. So starting on an open D note, let's go up a half step. So find D on the keyboard. What's a half step up? It's going to be D sharp. Half step up to E. And we're on E again. So a half step up is going to be F. And what's kind of cool is, like I said, we're on E again here. So that's actually going to match with your low E string if you play them at the same time. So if I play the E and the F, you can hear that they match. There's just a low version and a high version of each one. Moving on to the G string. So open G, up a half step to G sharp, half step up to A, half step up to B flat. And we've seen B flat before, if you remember. It's the first fret of the A string, so those are going to match. It's a really great musical exercise to find the notes that match like that. Let's move on to the B string. Open B. You can see that the B is a white key with a white key next to it, so a half step up is going to be another letter note to C. Let's go half step up, C sharp, half step up to D. And again, this is a great note to take a pit stop on. Where's another D? Well, we know this string right here is an open D. And you'll hear them match. And then finally, we've got another E string. So these notes are going to be the exact same as the ones on the low E string. So it's just E, F, F sharp, G. And if you played those at the same time, E, F, F sharp, G, they're going to match. So that's the method of finding notes on the guitar. But let's not just fly by all those notes, because I'm sure after doing that exercise, you've forgotten where a B flat note is or a C sharp. Here's my advice to you. Number one, I would get familiar with where these notes are. So when I go to an F sharp note, let's say, I would pause here and get really comfortable with the location of an F sharp. Get familiar with this. Learn the neighborhood. Where is it? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? Don't just fly past it when you're naming these notes. Get comfortable and familiar with it, because it'll help you remember this note. This exercise of finding notes using the open strings is quite tedious, but you really only have to do it a few times, and then you're going to start to remember the note names, and you'll never have to do it again. So that's my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice is do some exercises and challenge yourself. So when I learn this F sharp note, I'm going to pause. I'm going to take my hand off the guitar. I'm going to look away. I'm going to count down from 5 to try to make myself forget it. And then I'm going to look at the guitar, find the note again, and name it, F sharp. And I'm going to do the same thing as I'm working up the strings the way we were just doing it. So if I'm on B and I'm going up to like a C sharp, I could go B, C, C sharp. Okay, C sharp, interesting. Let me take my hand off. I'm going to look away. I'm going to count down from 5 or 10, and then go right back to the guitar and find a C sharp note immediately. What I've done in this lesson is I've limited the scope of where we're going to find notes. I do see a lot of lessons on finding notes on the guitar, and they travel all over the neck. And I think that's fine, but it can be really overwhelming. So let's stay in this section of the guitar. Let's not go past the 3rd fret. Let's do a couple of exercises together. And I'm going to show you how you can find a note if you have just forgotten the name of it. So let's do this one. G string, 3rd fret. If you remember the name of that, then you're doing great. If you don't know the name of it, here's what I would do. Let's make sure you have your keyboard handy. I'm on the G string. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that open. I'll keep my finger kind of near that fret like a bookmark. I'm going to play that open. I'm going to look at my keyboard, all right? I'm on a white G key. Let's go to the 1st fret G sharp. Let's go to the next note, A. I'm moving in half steps. And now we're at the note that I'm looking for, B flat. Let's try it again. Let's do this note right here, 2nd fret, A string, okay? So we know we're on the A string, so that's where we're going to start. Go find that on the keyboard. Keep your finger kind of hovering above the note like a bookmark. Play the open string, so A. Then we're going to go half step up, B flat, half step to our note, it's a B. So whatever string name I'm on, that's where I'm going to start on the keyboard. And I'm going to work my way up in half steps to the note that I'm looking for. That's a great way to find the note name. Now here's one way this is super useful. If I'm playing a G chord, you want to be asking, why is this called a G chord? Well, the reason is because the lowest note in the chord, the bass note or the foundational note, is a G. And look where my middle finger is. Okay, let's find that note together. So we're on the low E string. E, F, F sharp, and here's the note I'm looking for, G. So the bass note, the foundational note, is a G. Let's do it again for a C chord. And why is this called a C chord? Well, look at the bass note, look at the foundational note. I start my strumming here on the A string 3rd fret. Okay, keep the bookmark, start on A. A, B flat, B, C. So when you see a chord diagram and the chord is just named a letter, that's telling you that the bass note, the foundational note, is that letter. So it could be a G, a C, an E, whatever it is. And you'll see when you do those chords, you're going to find the bass note and it's going to be the exact name of the chord. So that's how to find notes on the guitar. I wanted to keep this lesson limited and basic. We are going to expand off of this in a lot of future lessons. We're going to learn how this applies to slash chords. We're going to learn how this applies to playing scales. All kinds of things work off of this fundamental lesson. So make sure you get this down, and I'll see you in the next one.